Good morning. We'll get started in just a few minutes. We're going to give folks just a few more minutes to get on the line. All right. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us for our funding informational meeting. This is mandatory to organizations that did not attend our January 23rd in person training. If you did attend the January 23rd in person training, you do not have to be on this webinar today. Just wanted to let you know that. Certainly, you can choose to be so, but just wanted to make sure you understood they were both not mandatory. If you did come on the 23rd, you do not have to be on today's webinar. But if you are not, it is mandatory. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to speak to how to apply for United Way funding and how to be a United Way funded partner, what those requirements look like, as well as the added benefits of being a valued partner of United Way. So as you can see, our mission statement, together we fight for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in our community. Certainly, you've probably heard us say that we live united and we do this in partnership with all of you and all of the collective impact that we're making in our community. We hope that you can continue to use our Live United language on your social media accounts and other ways to promote our partnership. So, the request for proposals. I'm not sure if any of you have gone into the system yet to see about how to start filling out your application. Our request for proposal documents were released on February 3rd, and please go to www.uwdor.org/grant. This is where you can find our request for proposal documents, as well as the technical guidance PowerPoint that we offer. And of course, if you have any questions at any point, always please feel free to ask. The quickest way to get a response is to email questions to ci-inbox@uwdor.org. We have multiple staff that regularly check that email address, so that's the way to get your quickest response. And of course, if you have any technical troubles, you all know Rebecca, who is fantastic and can help you with any of those issues you might experience. If you have any content related questions, you may certainly reach out to me directly, but I will only answer what I'm able to. I cannot advise on how you should, write your application, as I personally do not make the funding decisions, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. We hope that our system is more user friendly than in years past, and I know many of you recently used it for your mid-year reports. So for those of you that do not know our community investment process, it is quite extensive. We have 200 individual grant reviewers that make the funding decisions. As I said, I personally do not make the funding decisions. All of our grant reviewers review about 5 grants using the same evaluation tool. They are community leaders that have been recommended to help with this process, and many have nonprofit and foundation experience. We ensure that they disclose all potential conflicts, and any nonprofit staff that review cannot evaluate within the category they are applying for funding from. At that point, we pull together panel meetings with each group: education, health, financial stability, and veterans needs. We have our face-to-face meeting, and grants reviewers go through the different scores and comments they made, so we really get a true, comprehensive, qualitative and quantitative assessment. All scores, comments, and online assessments are then brought to our Community Impact Committee, which is a board subcommittee that allocates the dollars. As it is the community fund, it is the community that makes these funding decisions. So this whole process is about 6 months long, and we are very confident that it is extremely transparent and equitable. and it is a community-led investment process. After we go through that extensive process that I just went through, we then anticipate our award notifications to take place in June. We then execute our contracts for July 1st for a 1 year time period. Our grant funding, as many of you know, is year to year. All nonprofits are notified by letter of the funding decisions, and they are sent along their contracts at that point. This is a visual look at the process. Now, the next piece that I'd like to get into is going through our strategic planning process. We recently undertook an extensive strategic planning process that was led by our board of directors. We are focusing on programs that are making an impact and clarifying our existing directives to increase funding. We had extensive research from local institutions and foundations, as well as a lot of input from community stakeholders. A lot of community needs assessment also was conducted, and this whole process took place over a year. Our intent is to make sure that we can continue to diversify our funding streams and invest further into community programs. After we received back survey responses in the hundreds, tens of hundreds of thousands, we then began to align the community impact work with our fundraising strategy. In partnership with Marist, we were able to conduct a thorough, comprehensive survey process that took place out in the community, in public places, as well as to all of our existing donors. Our intent, again, was to make sure that we surveyed both potential donors as well as existing donors so we could understand what donors were looking for United Way to invest in and make sure that those intents also aligned with what we were doing in our community impact strategy. As a result of this extensive community needs assessment and survey process, we did revise our funding strategy for this this upcoming funding year, of which you are working on your applications for. As I mentioned, our process is the end goal is to make sure that we can invest more in programs in the future. And the survey results indicated an emphasis on three things that we were already doing, but we are now focusing on a little bit more. Our after school programming, our food access, and crisis intervention strategies. As you can see here, these are our revised funding priorities. Under health, we are looking to increase access to healthy food for families in our community. Our outcome is that families will experience greater food security as a result. Under veterans' needs, program staff and volunteers will increase access to affordable housing and legal services for veterans and their families. And the outcome is to increase accessibility to affordable housing and legal support options for veterans. Under financial stability, we will improve access to resources to alleviate short-term financial crises in order to increase local families' economic position. With our outcome focused on increasing financial assets for ALICE and low-income individuals. ALICE, of course, is Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. Under education, we will increase opportunities for positive youth development and literacy services. Our outcome is that youth will enroll in programs that develop positive behaviors and/or read proficiently at grade level. We added a second priority area under education to develop opportunities for lifelong learning to increase skill-based development. The intended outcome is to increase families' access to education and workforce training programs. I also want to mention that in advance of revising our funding strategy for the upcoming year, we had meetings with organizations in advance of our January 23rd meeting whose existing programs could be affected. So we wanted to make sure that we were as transparent as possible as we shifted our strategy. I also want to mention that, as I said before, I certainly can't advise organizations on what ideas to put forward, on specifically how they're going to apply. But if you do have any questions with regards to our new priority areas, or if you do have existing programs and you're unsure of how that might look going forward or anything, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to schedule a call. And like I said earlier in the webinar, if I can't answer it, I will tell you that. And I will do my best to make sure that you feel like you have as much information as possible to apply. Our funded community partner expectations. Once your organization is selected for funding, these are the expectations your organization can expect: a site visit, reporting, marketing, listing your organization as a resource, and attending relevant events. For those of you funded currently, please ensure that you are in compliance with regards to our marketing standards, making sure that you have your logo on our website, your program materials, and social media recognition. Of course, this also is for our United Way volunteer portal and 211. And we hope to see you at our upcoming celebration of service dinner on May 14th. In addition to funding, United Way has a lot of capacity building services that we offer to nonprofits, regardless if they are funded partners or not. I want to go through some of these, and as I mentioned, these are accessible to any nonprofit, regardless if you are currently funded or not. It is not exclusive for funded partners. These are opportunities for any 501c3. You'll have access to year-round volunteers for Days of Caring, as well as organizational support through our volunteer portal. You may attend our Days of Sharing and receive material goods to allocate to your clients in crisis. Our next Day of Sharing, you probably received our email, is coming up in a couple of weeks on March 6th. You could take part in events like our community conversations or our nonprofit training sessions to add capacity to your organization and have more opportunities to network. We do have our two major fundraisers each year, which will promote awareness of your organization's great work. Usually we have about 500 people at each. And as I mentioned, if your organization is not selected for funding, you may still partake in any of these opportunities. In addition, with our Day of Sharing program, if you do have a need during the year, please feel free to reach out to us. If it doesn't necessarily fall on Day of Sharing, we always do what we can to help. And of course, we have other opportunities. Make sure you are on our 211 list. That is now a 24-hour service. And we have prescription discount cards that we can offer to your clients. We've also increased our texting ability for 211. As you can see, we offer a robust volunteer program offering both ongoing and episodic opportunities. We have a significant volunteer reach and serve as the volunteer center of our region. We've recently expanded our Louis Greenspan Children's Corner. In our Day of Sharing program, our basement has been completely renovated and we are able to host many more goods than previous. We have a number of corporate retailers that donate to us their overstock. Um, for those of you that haven't been, we have bedding, bathware, hygiene items, school supplies, clothing, toys, books, you name it, we have it, and we try our best to make sure that these are items that can really serve families in crisis. We do receive a lot of nonprofits come to our days of sharing, usually close to 100 people for each day of sharing. And a lot of their clients are experiencing crisis or are in transition. And so now, when they are going back to a more stable environment, they have the opportunity to have these items, and it's less for them to worry about. So I hope to see you on March 6th. Our professional development opportunities are twice a year. And I hope that you're able to attend. If you were not at our January 23rd meeting, we will be looking to schedule for June. In the past, we've had topics like social media, human resources, grant writing, volunteer management, communication, strategic planning, outcomes measurement, community collaboration, social determinants of health, inclusivity, and collegiate partnerships. We offer additional academic partnerships that I wanted to tell you about today, too. Volunteers through United Way programs may receive a 25% discount tuition at Marist. So if your organization is registered in our volunteer portal and you have a active volunteer that volunteers 10 hours or more per semester, they can receive that discount. And then you just go on and verify that they were there, and then I write a letter. It's that simple. These are for adult programs. And staff at funded partners like yourselves may receive up to a 25% discount at Mount St. Mary College, which is another great opportunity at two of our local academic institutions. At our community conversation, we hold a community needs assessment each year by inviting our community stakeholders to comment on crucial local topics that inform our request for proposals. We invite you to lend your feedback at future sessions. In the past, we've spoken about different issues affecting our community, like veterans' needs, early learning, the opioid crisis, the needs of Alice, and resiliency. We have plenty of awareness opportunities. We have about 500 people each at our biannual fundraisers. I hope to see you at Celebration of Service on May 14th. Additionally, we may request that you speak about our partnership at a fundraising campaign. These opportunities promote our shared work and allow us to fundraise more and invest more in our community. So we may call upon you, and we hope that you can help. As you can see, by living united together, we touched the lives of over 182,000 people last year, which is 1 in 4 in our community. It's pretty tremendous, and that's thanks to you. So I really appreciate all that you do, all that we can do together. We are making a huge impact in our community, and you can take a look or if you'd like on this slide, can look at the different numbers of individuals helped through each of the programs that United Way offers and partnerships with organizations throughout our community. And of course, it is Cash Coalition season right now, so please direct your clients to call 211 to make their tax appointment. Unfortunately, they usually fill up, so if they haven't done so yet, it's a free tax preparation program that enables them to receive the money that they would, uh, but so it's not left on the table. And it can be a tremendous help in their daily life. So as I mentioned, I know we're on a webinar today, not in person, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I'm also going to see if there are any questions in our chat box too, and I will answer those. So if you have any questions, please take a minute to send them in the chat box. And if you'd like to reach me offline, that's fine too. I'm definitely happy to have a phone call. And like I said, I will answer what I can. I'm at your disposal. I'm a resource. It's my job to facilitate this process. I want to make sure that you have all the information that you need to apply to United Way funding. I look forward to partnering with each of you, whether it be through funding or any of our other programs. And I want to thank each of you for what you do for the community every day. You're all amazing. So like I said, please feel free to send me any questions in the chat box and I will answer those. Okay, I do have a few questions. Trying to expand it so I can see it more. Yes, this is for the financial stability health. This is our community fund. I know some of you do apply to funds through other opportunities, such as our emergency food shelter program or holiday helping hand. Those are separate funded streams. So if you are currently a funded partner in one of those programs, you are certainly welcome to apply to our community fund, but they are not uh, related in terms of the fund. You can be a recipient of multiple streams of funding, but this is a separate pool. So if you're looking for emergency food shelter program funding, that has not yet been released for the new phase. We do, and I have a question if this will be available on our website. And yes, I believe it is already up on our website, but if not, I will make sure it is, and I can also send it to the attendees on today's webinar. Another question about emergency food shelter program funding. So like I said, this is a different stream of funding. So please feel free to apply to both if you'd like. When I have information about emergency food shelter program funding, we will certainly let everyone know. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Tara. Can we look at the budget chief requirements? All of those supplemental documents can be found on our website. We have an example of what a previous application might look like. And once you actually go in to start creating your application, you can take a look at all of those forms. But if you are a past funded partner, they have not tremendously changed from last year to this year. For those of you that attended our January 23rd session, we did have a special session on budgeting for your proposal. Unfortunately, I have a question about putting the budget on screen right now. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. Um, but like I said, we do have those documents available, and if any of you would like to schedule something with me, you absolutely can. Okay, so I have a very specific question about logging in and seeing an old application. I'm trying to see in the chat box. Okay, so if one person was experiencing some technical issues when they logged in, they only saw a former application and were not able to apply to the current year. So please make sure you're applying to 2021. That should be the only one that is available. But if you are experiencing technical issues, my colleague Rebecca will be the person to help you. So please give me either send me, Rebecca, or stay inbox in the email, and we'll get you set to make sure that everything is working on the technical side. Those are all the questions that were asked in the chat box. I will stay on the line for the next 5 minutes if anyone else has any more. In the meantime, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I will send out a soft copy of this PowerPoint. Um, And like I mentioned, please feel free to schedule a time with me. If you have any technical issues, let us know and we'll get you, set up okay. And please always feel free to reach out to CI inbox and make sure to have your applications in on time. This is something I didn't mention, but we do not give extensions for any reason. So, and I know, things can happen. So I urge you, please do not wait till um, the 13th of March when they're due. If you can get them in, a couple days earlier, I know, you'll feel better about it. Because for under no reason can we give an extension. So it is a very hard deadline, and we do close the system at 5 p.m. that day. All right, so like I mentioned, it's 11:30 now, so I'm going to stay on the phone for another 5 minutes. If you don't have any questions, feel free to jump off. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I want to thank you, and I look forward to working with you. And if you do have questions, please feel free to send them in the chat box. I will stay on for the next 5 minutes. Thanks so much. Bye. Okay, I do have another question here. I have not reviewed the application, but does United Way grant funds for general operating expenses such as salary? That's a very good question. Um, a lot of our funding is spent on salary for positions. related to health, education, and financial stability. At the same time, we do not, since we are program specific, not agency specific, we do not have general operating funds. It has to be specific to that program and the operating expenses related to that program. All right, it looks like no more questions. So I'm going to end the webinar. For those of you that are still on, thank you and have a great day. Goodbye.